Let's try this new e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation. It retails for $8 for 1 ounce. It has a great shade range with 36 different shades, lots of undertones, and lots of options for all of the major skin tones. Okay, so here's all of the pale ones that I decided to try because I had to order it online. I ended up going with a mix of 10 Fair Cool and 14 Fair Cool. One is just a little too light and one is a little too dark, but if I mix them together, I think they look pretty good. I'm starting with moisturized and sunscreen skin, and I am 48 with normal to dry textured skin. I'm gonna start by putting this on my face with my fingers. I think I got too much. This is, it kind of spreads pretty far. Okay, well, so the claims are that it's good for all kinds of skin types, so we'll have to see about that. I'm going to start with the sponge because they say you can either put it on with a sponge or with a brush. We'll do a brush on the other side to give it a good try. The sponge is definitely doing a good job of sort of really thinning out what I put down because I definitely put too much on at first. Okay, that looks pretty good actually. I'm going to try building it up with the sponge to see if I can get more coverage. I'm not sure if I'm going to need a little bit of concealer with this or not. Well, it does offer good coverage. The problem is it's real glowy if you do that, and I feel like it's a little cakier, so probably going to thin this out, and I will rely on concealer for my extra coverage. Okay, yeah, thinning it out with the dry sponge I think looks a lot better. Okay, here's what it looks like, and here's what it looks like on the other side with nothing, so you can kind of compare. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing, maybe use a little bit less, and I'm going to use the brush. So this is a BK Beauty 101 foundation brush. This is a great, nice sort of, it's not quite a kabuki brush, but it does have really good coverage, and it usually really buffs things out so that it looks kind of airbrushed. Okay, so again, light coverage, you can see my skin sort of showing through. I am going to try and build it up. Okay, yeah, let's see if I can use it this way and get more coverage out of it and use it as concealer. You know, it's kind of doing the same thing. It's just, it's too glowy, it's too thick. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing I did on the other side. Yeah. Yep, we're just gonna remove that. And here's kind of what I'm left with. There's the sponge side, there you can see, and here's the brush side. A little less on the brush side, believe it or not, but I think it's just a matter of how much I kind of took back off. Okay, it's still pretty kind of sticky. I don't feel like this is gonna set down without powder. Okay, well, I'm gonna try buffing it out a little bit. I'm getting a lot of grainy sort of texture. I think it's because it is glowy. It's picking up all of the texture that I have. It's a little frustrating. So maybe let's try the concealer just for continuity. And I haven't tried it in a while, and I actually am really enjoying it again. I'm using the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. This is great. Again, I have to use 2 different colors because they don't have my just right color. And I actually really like that. Okay, I still feel like I definitely need to set this with powder. So I'm gonna use my Givenchy powder on this side, nothing on this side. So you could leave it glowy. I don't know if it's gonna set without the powder though. Okay, here's fully powdered, and I'll put on the rest of my makeup. Here's what it looks like when we're starting our wear test. Really, really beautiful right now, but I feel like it took a lot of work to get here, so kind of is what it is. First impressions is that it was hard to find a color match. Even though they have a bunch of fair colors, none of them were me, so I had to mix 2 colors. And it makes my skin look really grainy. It's got a little bit of that sort of serumy drag to it, which I'm sure is what they're using for glow. That is not personally my favorite kind of finish because it picks up texture. So it kind of didn't matter how I put it on until I took a lot of it off using a dry sponge, like literally wiping a lot of it off of my texture areas like here. It really just picked up the texture. I had to powder it. There's no way I would not powder this particular one. I don't know, so far it's okay. It is definitely not my favorite, and it's just from the outset, I don't like the texture of it. Now, that said, I feel like I've gotten a pretty good application of it, but boy did I have to work hard, and boy did I have to use a lot of powder. I had to use their concealers. I actually like the concealers and the finish on that better. It has enough coverage that if you cake it on, put a second layer on it like I did with both the sponge and the brush, it does give you full coverage if you want it, but there's no way, I didn't feel like it was gonna set down with that thick of an application. So like by the time you get that blended in, it doesn't give you enough coverage to be just a concealer by itself. So that really means for me it requires a concealer, because I really want full coverage in certain areas, but not like cake face over my whole face. Okay, so with my dry to normal skin right now, with some texture, we are going to start the wear test, and I will check in with you throughout the day. And then for the lips, because everybody always asks, I really am enjoying this new e.l.f. lip stain in Pinkies Up. It's their lightest one. It's a little weird because it goes on sort of brown looking, and it does sort of have a little bit of a brown pink to it, but I think it really works for us, and it really leaves a beautiful moisturized lip stain that is not like bright or gross. It doesn't give you popsicle stain lips, which, you know, if that has its place, but I'm an almost 50-year-old woman. It doesn't look real mature of me to have popsicle stain lips, so I don't prefer that. Okay, so anyway, definitely I would check these out. They have that same really beautiful glossy sort of silicone-y finish as the Milani ones. Sorry, I'm looking all over for it. Oh, there it is. All right, yeah, the Milani lip stain ones, these are really similar, only this has an even lighter, less bright color, and I really like this one. And I mean, it's e.l.f. prices, so I would definitely check these out if you're interested in a non-drying lip stain with a really pretty color for those of us with very fair skin. This is really good. Okay, let's get into the wear test. So this is still 0 hour, but I wanted to show you in natural light. See if I can get a little more in it here. It's really pretty. Again, I feel like I had to remove a lot of it to get it to be really pretty, or else this, you know, that glow that you see would be picking up too much texture. But I do think, like, I'm more than happy to wear this today. It's very comfortable too. I think it looks good. 2 hours in natural light out in the car. It still looks really good, natural, nothing sticky. So far so good. We'll just keep going with this, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty solid. Okay, this is 4 hours out in natural light. I kind of rubbed my eye here, so that's actually my bad there, but this pretty much looks the same. It looks great. I went in Ulta, and usually the lighting makes me look horrible in there, like my skin in particular, and it actually looked pretty good. So if you really get up close on it, there's definitely a little bit of texture, but I have a little bit of texture. I have things that can make this a little less textury, but not by a whole lot, honestly. I gotta say, as much as I didn't like how this felt to put on my face, it looks really good. So yeah, like I'm having a good skin day. Amazing. So we've made it to 8 hours. Virtually no change other than, I mean, there's like a little bit of dew. I'm not real oily right now, so I mean, I didn't expect a bunch of oils to break through because I'm just not producing a bunch of oils because I'm on Accutane, like very low dose. But I mean, I gotta say, it performed really well. If you are not ultra oily and you're not gonna break it up, it's pretty much gonna look like it did when you put it on for the most part. It actually held up pretty well. There is a little bit of sort of like it becoming grainy, a little bit of where it has worn off around my nose and my chin. I've had a really active day today. I've been doing yard work. I have been outside. It has been warm, so I've been sweating. I worked out in this and I did get sweaty, and I haven't touched it up at all today. So honestly, I mean, I think it performed really, really well. Let's see if I can get in a little closer here. You can see it is, and it has been this whole time, it's got a tiny bit of that grainy texture instead of an ultra smooth texture. But like in real life, you have to like get up on you to see that. In real life, it looks really, really good. And you know, you just look hydrated, maybe a little bit dewy, but not like in a bad way. It really kind of makes your skin look a little bit younger, especially if you're a little bit older like me. And you know, it keeps it from looking super, super dried out. So I'm torn on this. I need 2 colors in order to get my right color. Even though they have a bunch of fair shades, none of them are really the right undertone, and like their lightest one is way too light all by itself, and then the next one with a cool undertone is too dark all by itself. So that's where I'm having to mix the two. If you are more of like a neutral or a warm undertone, I think you will have more options that are going to work for you. For those of us who are cool undertone, you either need to be super fair or sort of that 2 levels up, I think. So I just mixed them. It was fine. Not a big deal. I mean, they're $8, so I don't feel too bad about that. Yeah, so I would definitely say that if you are looking for sort of this finish and something that's going to be cheap and easy, it's fine. Am I like blown away by the finish? Not really. It's just fine, but it's also $8. If you want something where you're like blown away by the finish, you know, where it actually takes any texture you have and really sort of blurs it out, that is more in that same like price range, I probably prefer the Catrice Tinted Serum. Now, they hardly have any shades. The lightest shade happens to work for me, but if you are looking for something that is just a little more dewy, a little less refined, and that frankly wore really well, this is, I mean, it's a really decent one. My biggest issue with it is that it has a texture that I don't like, and I think that's really just specific to me. I don't like things that have a little bit of drag to it and then it catches all of your pores when you first put it on. This one, it's much better once you powder it down because you can get rid of all that shine. I certainly could not imagine wearing this one without powder. Okay, so I'm not going to go on and on about it. It kind of is what it is. It's a solid foundation, especially for $8. I think if you wanted to give it a try, it's worth $8. I personally am probably not going to reach for this one just because I have other ones that I like better. But it's a good foundation. It honestly, I'm amazed at how well it held up throughout the day, because usually the ones that have this little bit of sort of, you know, that shine to it, usually they actually will break up and you'll get like the polka dot pores and you'll see a little more texture. This one broke down in a really, really natural way that looks just fine. I think it looks actually like you're just a little bit dewy and healthy and actually really, really good. So I don't know. I think I'm torn just because I have other ones that I like better, but this is for $8 a good solid one. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. If you want to give it a try, I definitely think that it would be good for most skin types. I hesitate on if you are ultra oily, which I was just like a month ago. I think this one would probably not play real well with lots of texture and ultra oily skin. Or if you're ultra dry and flaky, I don't think that it's gonna play well with that. But that's not the skin that I tested it on, so I cannot say for sure. But I would hesitate for those skin types to pick this one. Okay, if you have any questions, as always, leave them below. I love talking to you guys. And if you haven't subscribed, I sure would appreciate it, as it really helps my channel to grow. Another good foundation tested this week. We'll have to see what we're gonna do next week. I'm not sure. I am thinking about doing the tier, like the cushion foundation one, if you guys are interested in that. I do have that one. Otherwise, I'm still waiting for that Natasha Denona one to come out. I cannot wait to try that. Okay, I hope you're having a great week, and I will see you guys in the next video.